Hey guys, today we'll be working on a 2006 Ford Focus ZX4 manual transmission. We're going to be replacing the backup switch, which is inside the transmission. Not inside, but it's on the outside. You're going to have to dig in to get to it. So without further ado, we'll show you what's wrong, and then from there we'll dig in. Before you start watching this video, make sure you've checked your fuses, you've checked that your lights aren't dead, which we've already done. So this is our last resort. If it's not this, then it's probably something else electrical. It's just not getting current from the switch to the lights or back or forth, etc. So without further ado, let's begin. It's in reverse, and as you can see, the bulbs right here are not on, which indicates the backup lights are not working. They have been replaced, so what we're going to have to do is take all the stuff out right here in order to change the backup light switch. Alright, so the first two things we're going to do is we're going to remove the negative battery cable and this little brace over the battery, and they're both 10 mil. Alright, so with these two things removed, and this pops off toward you, you basically just lift up this whole cover and it'll come off. So now, from here, you're going to undo the positive battery cable and take the battery out. Okay, the next step is to remove the battery tray, which consists of 4 13 mil bolts, 2 on the left side, the one in the front, and then there's one in the back right here. Alright, so with that out, we're going to need to jack up the transmission, because the next thing that comes out is this motor mount right here, and I'll let you know what size those bolts are in a second. Okay, so you want to get a block of wood that's strong enough to withstand the force of picking the car up. That way it's a cushion between the metal and the metal, so you're not damaging anything. But just jack it up just a little bit off the ground, not too far. Like, I don't have my wheels up off the ground, so. Okay, so now we will remove all 5 of these nuts. 4 of them, the 4 outside bolts, are 15, and the middle one is a 22. Okay, so once those 5 bolts are out, you just go ahead and pull that mount up. And then now we just have to take this bracket for the mount off, which consists of 1 bolt right there, and then you can, if you want to, I do, because you have to get in here to get this bolt, and I just think it's easier to take the cruise control module off. But you don't have to remove this whole black piece. Like, there's a whole bunch of connections in it everywhere. You don't have to remove it, because what you're going to get to is right behind this little lever right here, just over on that side right there where my pinky is. But we'll show you that in a second. So we're going to go ahead and remove this bolt. I believe is a, let's see, what is that? I believe it's a 10 or 11. And then these are 8s. These are 8s and
10.
Yeah, so we got 1 10 and 3 8 mils, and then another 10 right here. So we just, again, I just take this off because it's easier to get to this bolt, because using a ratchet takes forever, to be honest. So we'll be back when we're done with that. Alright, so once you have the cruise module out, you can go ahead and undo this clip so you can move it back over here somewhere, so it's out of your way. And then basically you're just going to lift this up just enough to get under right there, which I'll show you in a sec. Let me have him hold this light for me.
good.
Alright, so just go ahead and lift that up, and that clip comes out, and then you can just move that entire thing over here so it's out of your way. And then next, what you're going to do is just basically, I guess we forgot the 10 mil, but after you get that 10 mil, you're basically just going to lift it up out of the way. Alright, so now that we got this bracket up, we just basically pulled it up off the screws. You are going to need to pinch this little tab right here and push this through, and then also to get this up easier, you're going to need to maybe move these out of the way. There's clips right here that they just push through. Right here, they just push through easy. And then there's a couple right here and 3 right here if you wanted to take it all the way out, but you don't have to. So we'll be back when we get this out of the way. Okay, so the guy we need to get to is right in here, is this little plug right here. And the plug can be tricky to undo. So basically all you do is you squeeze the tab on top and pull up. And you might want to wiggle it a little bit, but after that it's a 22 mil to get the sensor out. So we'll just pull both of those out right now. Alright, so here we have the old reverse switch. You want to go ahead and compare it with the new one. Part number, if you need it, is right here. So you just basically, you can tell them that, or they can look it up for you, but it's easier if you have the part number. And it's about $13 brand new from Ford. But so after that, just go ahead and compare them, and you can put the new one in. Don't tighten it down too much, because if you over tighten it, you're going to strip the threads. Alright, so the switch is going to be 84 inch-pounds is the tightness, which I would just basically hand tighten it, not too far. But basically just put that in and plug that switch back in, and then we'll start putting the mount back on and putting everything back together, and I'll give you torque specs as we do it. Alright, so the first 2 bolts we're going to put in after we put this bracket in is the 2 10 mils. Right here and right here. Just get them tight enough. There's not a torque specification, so just tight enough. Not too tight, but that'll basically even it out so that you can get this played on evenly and everything gets in alright. We'll be back when we're done with that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is put the cruise control module back on. We're just going to put it in there, and that's going to be just tight enough as well. There's no real torque specs for that because the bolts are so tiny. So just hand tighten it enough to where you're not going to break the bolts, but at the same time where it's going to hold it in place. Okay, and then after we do that, you're going to put that mount back on. I guess we can do that right now actually. Just put this mount back on. It only goes on one way, which that clearly is not the right way. Like I said, only one way. But you need to just center it and get all the bolts and stuff on. Here, hold this light. You basically just center it. And you might have to jack up the car a little bit too to get this back on. It's a little difficult. There we go, we got it. You just move it around a little bit until it goes flush. And then I think you said 36 on the outside.
35 on the outside and then 98 for the center one.
Okay, 35 foot-pounds of torque on the outside and then 98 foot-pounds on this center bolt. So just make sure you have a torque wrench when you're doing this so your mount's not going to fall off and your transmission falls out while you're driving. Alright, so just to get that on, I just had to jack up the transmission a little bit, and then you basically just push down. So we put that bolt on and these 4 bolts on, and then get that back on, and then we're done with that. We can put the battery tray back on. But let me get all this done and we'll come back to that. Okay, so once you have those all torqued down and the cruise control put back in, go ahead and just put that clip back on until it clicks. And then after that, you're going to grab your battery tray. Move the cables up. Okay, so you just go ahead and set the battery tray back in, and then you're going to feed the positive cables basically just through that little crack right there, and it'll just come through. Basically just tighten all these 13 mil bolts down, and then you'll drop your battery in, you put your positive cable on, tighten that with 10 mil, and after that then we'll show you how to get everything else put back together. Okay, so the upper tray cover basically just goes over top just like so. Just sits over it, and then you basically just kind of clip that in, and then you can put your negative on just like that. And then there's two more pieces. There's a piece that covers this and this. Usually that doesn't fall off, but this one on this vehicle is broke. And then this piece has those little clippy things, so you basically just put it in like this, just push it, and then it'll go straight down. Usually. Alright. You might have to undo this screw a little bit just to get that in. There you go. So you'll tighten this, I believe it's a 10 or an 8.
It works at 10, yeah.
Yeah, it's a 10. Tighten your negative battery cable. That would be another 10 mil. And then that little cover, which you probably won't have off, but it just pops back on. You'll know how that goes. And basically you're done after that. Thanks for watching. One more thing, the negative cable does go under this. It's not supposed to go around, that way it looks better. So just go ahead and you can tuck that under if you already have everything else put back on. Okay, so we got the switch put in, and nope. Alright guys, so it turns out I forgot to plug the switch in, or the plug into the switch. So we're gonna try this again and see what happens. So go ahead and put it in reverse. And they work. Okay, get it out of the reverse into neutral. See, they're both working. So awesome. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and like this if it helped you out, or do whatever else. Just don't forget to plug it in, because it would suck to have to take that all apart. Again, thanks for watching. Until next time.